Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new relationship advice stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first story is titled, My 29M Girlfriend's 27F Dad Discouraged Me from Proposing because their family isn't thrilled about us having dark babies. Me and my GF, Naomi, are an interracial couple, with her being Korean and me being black. We have dated for just under 5 years now, and for the past few months I've been planning on proposing. I'm pretty traditional, so I thought it would be a good idea to ask Naomi's dad for his blessing before I proposed. I asked earlier this month. When I arrived at their house, I was greeted by Naomi's mother and father, who invited me in. After a little talking, I told them that I was going to propose and wanted their blessing. Her mother was ecstatic, and her father didn't seem displeased, and he told me it was okay for me to propose. We talked more, and the topic of babies was brought up by her mother. I told her that I wanted to have kids with her, and she got even happier. We continued talking. When I told them I needed to start heading home, her mother said she would send me home with some food and left for the kitchen. Me and her dad have a small language barrier between us that usually is alleviated by either Naomi or her mother, so we kind of just sat there in silence. He then told me this: I'll clean it up, but it was difficult to understand as he isn't great at English. You are a very nice young man and we like you a lot. We'd be happy to have you in our family, but we are not too happy about you and her having dark babies. I was stunned, and kinda just awkwardly laughed. We sat there for another 2 minutes before her mum came out with a wrapped plate. When I got home, I said nothing about this to Naomi. I know I need to talk to her about what was said, but I don't want to be the one that accuses her family of being racists. And I know this is probably irrational, but the way her father said it put the thought in my head that Naomi may not want kids because of how dark I am. How do I approach her about this in the least accusatory way as possible? The next one is titled, Update, My girlfriend's father discouraged me from proposing because their family isn't thrilled about us having dark babies. Yesterday afternoon I sat my GF, Naomi, down and had a conversation with her about what her dad said to me. I tried to leave out any mention of proposal and told her I was in their neighborhood and decided to pop by. Terrible lie, I know, but she bought it. I told her what her dad said about us having dark babies and asked if she had any similar feelings about our kids popping out half black. She looked at me like I was out of my mind. She told me she didn't give a duck about the color of her kids as long as I was the dad, which was reassuring. She was not so happy with her dad. She wanted us to take a drive over there and talk with her parents about it. That evening we dropped by unannounced, and when her mum opened the door to see us, she immediately asked Naomi to show her the ring. Naomi was confused and I about crapped myself. I, like a dumbass, didn't call ahead to her parents that I hadn't proposed. I guess her mum thought we were going to surprise her with the engagement and assumed I had already proposed. I was speechless. They began speaking in Korean, but from context I assume her mum was asking if I was too cheap to buy her an engagement ring. And Naomi looked at me and started hugging and kissing me. My secret was out and I told her I had already asked her parent for their blessing. She was a few seconds from crying but sucked it up so we could speak to her dad. Like I said in my OG post, my future father-in-law isn't great at English, so he and Naomi spoke in Korean. According to Naomi, she asked him why he told me that, and he said that he was worried about their extended family not viewing our babies as Korean and being rude to them, or me for being black. I guess this did not come across well in English, because he was just concerned for me and our kids. He didn't care that our babies would have dark skin. This was a huge relief. Her father isn't the racist their extended families are, but like, duck them, who cares what they think. I am just so glad that our future kids are going to have grandparents that are going to love them. Only downside is now Naomi is expecting my proposal, so I really got to knock her socks off. The next one is titled, My 32F Husband 36M Became a Robot and I Don't Know How to Help Him. The title sounds insane, but here I go. We've been married for 6 years and have 2 kids. I'm pregnant with a third. My husband works from 9 to 5, comes home, does his chores, plays with our 2 kids, talks to me for a little bit, and then goes to sleep. But he doesn't seem to enjoy doing any of it. Like this whole thing is one big chore. He used to be this goofy guy who smiled and told jokes all the time, but I haven't seen the man smile in months. It's not like he's neglecting his duties as a husband and father, but he acts like it's just that duties. Like hanging with the kids and me is a second job. I'm grateful for all he's doing, and he makes all of our lives so much easier, but it's like he's constantly on the clock and I think he might be depressed. I tried asking him if he was doing okay and he tells me he's doing fantastic, but I know he's not. That's the line he uses at work when customers try to make small talk and ask how he's doing. He doesn't take any time for himself. He doesn't take any breaks, he stopped playing games and stopped watching TV. He just does what I feel he thinks needs to be done and I don't know how to help him out. Our sex life has become one-sided. We do it frequently but only because I initiate frequently. Even if he doesn't seem in the mood he'll do it. Like it's his responsibility to make me happy. It feels like he isn't there in the moment, like his mind is wandering the whole time we're intimate, and that, to me, feels worse than getting rejected. I don't know what's going on, and I don't know how to help because he won't let me in. To anybody else he seems fine, but I know something is wrong and I don't know how to fix this. I miss my husband, the guy who complained and told jokes. Not this robotic shell that looks like him. Edit, alright, wow. I didn't expect this to blow up. I want to thank you all for your advice, I really appreciate it. It's clear to me now that my husband is overworked and burned out. He comes home from work in a couple hours and I'm going to sit him down and talk to him. I'm going to tell him how I feel, and I hope that together we can find a solution that turns him back into the man he once was. I'm sorry if wasn't able to respond to everyone, but I want you all to know I read every comment and response. I'll post an update soon about how it goes. The next one is titled, Update, my 32F husband 36M became a robot and I don't know how to help him. Hey everybody, here's the update. I wrote this a couple days ago but couldn't post it because it was too soon. My husband came home at around 6 o'clock, and after he had something to eat I took him to the bedroom to talk. I sat him down on the bed and told him I was worried about him. I didn't know exactly how to phrase my worries, so I just showed him my original post. When he finished reading the post he started crying, like full-on crying. In all the years that I have known this man, I had never seen a tear roll down his eye. I held him for a few minutes until he could recompose himself, and he told me everything. He told me that the world was in a crappy place right now, and that we're bringing a child into a stressful time. He said when I became pregnant he felt he had to step up. He needed to take care of things because it was his responsibility. He said that the weight of carrying the family was so much harder than he anticipated, so he thought if he doubled down, he could get through it. But the more he tried, the darker the tunnel got, and eventually he couldn't see an end. He said that he feels like he's constantly drowning, and the only breath of fresh air is on the car ride between home and work. He said that sometimes the stress is so much that he throws up, but doesn't tell anyone and instead keeps going with his day. He then pulled out a pack of gum from his pocket and said this was for when it happens. I asked him why he couldn't tell me any of this, and he said he didn't want to burden me with the truth. He said that he thought if he told me everything, that I would stop seeing him as a protector and provider, and that I would inevitably stop loving him. Hearing him say that brought tears to my eyes because I didn't know where he got the notion I would feel that way. I asked him if he wanted to quit his job, but surprisingly he said the job doesn't bother him. He said the work in of itself was fine. It's just now he feels an added weight to provide because not only was he fortunate enough to keep his job in the pandemic, but we also had a kid on the way. He said that some days he feels like packing a suitcase and running to some tropical island for a week and not telling anyone. But then he feels guilty and doubles down even more. I told him that maybe he should go on a trip. I said that he deserved a break, and maybe if he did exactly that he'd feel better. He tried to protest, but I insisted. In the end said that he'll only go if we go together. Like a romantic getaway between spouses. Once things start to clear up and before the baby is due, he wants to take a week off from work, drop the kids off at grandma's house and have us go on a vacation. Just the two of us, like we used to when we first got married. He also said he wants to take the day off tomorrow and just sleep in, so that's the plan. I'll call his boss tomorrow and say that he's sick and can't come in. It's not like they'll make a sick man come into work. There's a pandemic going on, smiley face. Right now he's playing with the kids and it doesn't feel like he's doing one of his chores. He actually seems to be enjoying himself. For the first time in months I don't see the robot, I see my husband. Edit. Hey everyone, I want to thank you all for the support. I read all of your comments, and I appreciate all of you. I didn't expect this to get so much traction, so I want to clarify some things. First things first, my husband says hi. 1. I wanted to clarify about the chores people are taking about. I want to say that I know as a SAHM the bulk of chores goes to me. I cook and clean and do laundry because I know it's my responsibility. My husband's only chores are doing dishes, vacuuming every 3 days, and a few other house maintenance stuff. 2. I did in fact call in sick for my husband, but I made sure that I said he had a migraine. I saw on Google that it wasn't a symptom of COVID if it was an isolated symptom. His boss was okay with it and said he can come back whenever he feels better. 3. The pregnancy wasn't an accident. We both did want to have 3 kids because we were both raised in 3-kid families. We actively tried for the first 2, but for baby number 3 it was kind of a, if it happens kind of thing. We're both happy with the amount of kids we have, will have and are hopefully done. We are not considering abortion nor adoption. 4. We realize that a 1-week vacation isn't enough to get rid of his stress and are both trying to come up with a solution that alleviates his stress in a more sustainable way. Right now we're thinking about setting up an hour or 2 a day that's daddy's time. No kids, no me, no work. Just for him to relax. 5. To those of you who think is fake, there isn't any way I can change your minds about this situation, so I'm not really too bothered. I just hope this never happens to you guys. You all have been supportive and really a wonderful bunch of people. I really think we can get through this, and it wouldn't have been possible without you guys. I'm not going to reply to comments because, like last time, it's an overwhelming amount. But just know I'm reading these as they come in. Good night everyone, it's been great. The next one is titled, My 22M Vegan Girlfriend 21F Wants Me to Get Rid of My Cat. I can't believe I'm about to type this, but here we go. I've been dating my GF for 7 months. She's amazing and we're super compatible in a lot of ways. She is an outspoken vegan, and she made it clear at the start of our relationship that it was important to her that any potential had similar cruelty-free values. Me, already being a pescatarian, had little difficulty transitioning to a fully plant-based diet. My GF was proud of me for going cruelty-free and everything seemed well. We became the vegan couple on our college campus. Then there is my cat, Mittens. I've had her for 3 years and I adore her. She's such a sweet and cuddly cat. However, my GF was always a little apprehensive around her, and she blamed it on not growing up around cats. After a while we sort of made a tacit agreement to mostly hang out at her apartment instead of mine, so Mittens never really came up again in conversation. Fast forward through all the quarantine stuff. My GF and I have spent a lot of time together during this pandemic, and we've started talking about taking our relationship to the next level. We began seriously looking at either buying a new apartment together or having one of us move in with the other. However, after a lot of talking and planning, my GF sat me down and dropped a bombshell on me. She said that with this next phase of the relationship, she did not see a future with me unless I was willing to give away Mittens. She said that she believed owning a cat is unconscionable for vegans, because they hunt mice and eat meat, and because the very act of owning a pet is a violation of vegan principles. I was stunned. I told her that I was absolutely not willing to give up Mittens, and she had no choice but to eat meat, so I was reducing harm as much as possible by buying reputable brands of cat food. Plenty of vegans own cats and think along those same lines. My GF got mad and said, "How much flesh does your cat eat? How many animals died to make all that food? Would you be okay with that being human flesh?" I got mad and told my GF that I would have really appreciated her telling me about her cat opinions before we got serious. She went on and on about cats killing animals. I ended the conversation there. I was so angry that I left my GF's apartment. And I snuggled with Mittens when I got home. Although the mood soured a bit when my GF sent me a link to a Reddit thread advocating for the extinction of domestic cats. I think it goes without saying that I am not going to get rid of my cat. However, it pains me to think that an otherwise wonderful relationship could be ending because of a difference in ideology. I don't even really understand where my GF is coming from because, like I said, a lot of vegans own cats. Now granted, cat ownership can be a controversial topic in vegan circles, and I probably would not have gotten a cat if I had been vegan at the time, but I have Mittens now, and she deserves to eat. Yes, I've researched vegan cat food, but Mittens has some digestive issues and my vet strongly cautions against it. I've talked to some of my vegan and vegetarian friends and they all think my GF has lost her mind. Some have suggested that it's not about Mittens and my GF just wants an excuse to end it. They probably don't understand why I haven't broken up yet, but I care about my GF so much. I'd hate for this bizarre curveball to be the end of a beautiful thing. I want to try and work something out. Where do I even go from here? I will not compromise on Mittens and I don't think my GF will compromise either. Edit. Wow, this completely blew up while I was asleep. I am trying to read every comment, but there are a lot. Also, please allow me to take this moment to reiterate that my GF's views are not representative of those held by the wider vegan community. The next one is titled, My 22M Vegan Girlfriend 21F Wants Me to Get Rid of My Cat. Update. First of all, let me say thank you for everyone who offered advice. There are over 7,000 comments on my original post and I have dozens of PMs. Frankly, I'm still pretty overwhelmed with the magnitude of the response. I did my best to read most everyone's comments, but obviously I couldn't get to everything. I would also like to preempt this post by saying, as many users pointed out, that my GF's extreme views on domestic cats are not representative of the vegan-vegetarian community as a whole. I do think that, sometimes, new vegans can be a little overzealous. In reality, most of us are just doing the best that we can to not hurt animals. I did not expect to generate a big debate in the comments. So, we broke up, obviously. I would never, ever give up my cat Mittens. Many users said that this situation was about control, not veganism, and looking back, I do see a pattern of control on my GF's part. I was blind to it, I guess. I called my GF and said I was not willing to give up Mittens under any circumstances, and given the recent issues we'd had, and our incompatible views, I thought it was best that we parted ways. I said she deserved a partner that shared her values. She then asked if we were breaking up. I said yes. There was some anger on her end, but otherwise the situation actually went better than I expected. So, yeah. That's really it. The next one is titled, I 29F Keep Finding Long Hairs in My Bathroom, which is strange because my husband 32F is bald and I have a short pixie crop hairstyle. Typo. Husband is bald 32M using a throwaway account because reasons. This started a few weeks ago. While cleaning the bathroom, I found a number of long hair strands over my bathroom wall by the shower. This struck me as very odd because not only does my husband not have hair, I also wear a very cropped, short hairstyle. So it's impossible for the strands I found to belong to either me or my husband. Confused, I washed them away but couldn't stop thinking about it. I decided not to mention it but kept looking out for them. There seems to be a pattern that there's hairs appearing when I'm either at work or out for a longer time period. I feel like I'm going crazy and feel like I shouldn't just immediately go to my husband cheating on me with a longer-haired woman. I asked my husband about it and he just shrugged. Which makes me more paranoid, as surely this is something that's strange, so why is he so blasé about it? I'm starting to think he's playing it down to stop me from finding out the truth. It happened again 2 days ago and I asked my husband again. He dismissed it but this time admitted it's strange but told me the only explanation is that they must be my hairs. They are not, and after saying so, now he'll just ignore me if I bring it up. I don't want to assume my husband is cheating on me and accuse him of such over something so ridiculous, but I'm driving myself into the ground trying to work out how the hairs have got there without my husband dismissing it as nothing. During lockdown we haven't had any visitors that I know of, so can rule out his sister. The next one is titled, Update, I 29F Keep Finding Long Hairs in My Bathroom, which is strange because my husband 32M is bald and I have a short pixie crop hairstyle. I ultimately decided against getting a secret camera set up because ironically enough I didn't want to betray my partner's trust. Though part of me wanted to get one to squash any worries of someone living in my walls, as per some comments said. I did though plan to leave work early, which is something I've never done before. My boss allowed me to leave after a half day. Upon returning home, nothing seemed amiss. I was expecting another car on the drive or parked outside on the street. There was no other car I didn't recognize. Quietly letting myself in, I was immediately confused. In the hallway, there was a pair of shoes I didn't recognize, and not only that, they looked like men's shoes. Standing in the hallway trying to work out what to do, if I should sneak around or make my presence known, before I could decide, my husband walked out of the kitchen with 2 cups of tea. By my husband's face it was obvious he was surprised to see me. Playing along with naivete, I asked my husband how he could have known I was coming home early to make me tea. Expecting my husband to lie, he surprised me by sitting me down and explaining everything. At the beginning of lockdown, his friend, someone I'm not all that close with because only met once, was evicted, lost his job, and had been couch surfing. So for some days over the past couple of weeks, this guy has been traveling to our house, and with the acceptance of my husband, using our bathroom to freshen up to attend interviews. He was also borrowing shirts and suits from my husband. As it turns out, my husband's friend has long hair and a beard. So it turns out my husband isn't cheating on me but was hiding the fact his long-haired friend was coming over to use our shower. After his shower, I ended up meeting Dave, and he turned out to be a very nice bloke just down on his luck. I wished him the best for his socially distanced interview and he went on his way. I asked my husband why he didn't just tell me, as I wouldn't have had a problem with it. Turns out he was worried about my reaction and me not liking his friend or approving of the situation. He also told me Dave was very embarrassed about the whole situation and didn't want people to know what he was having to do. I told my husband I was starting to believe he was cheating and he was shocked, having not even considering those implications while attempting covering for his friend. I told him this whole thing was ridiculous and even suggested his friend live with us until he's back on his feet. Funnily enough, my worst case scenario which was mentioned in the replies was either a homeless man or woman living in my walls and sneakily using the shower. And though this seems to be half the case, I'm glad it wasn't a stranger as such that wasn't unwelcome and someone that wasn't living in my walls. Thank you everyone that commented and took an interest in this. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my video, please subscribe and post some star emojis in the comments to support me. See you again tomorrow.